Hello, everybody, and welcome to Turn to Page, Season 5, Book 4 of Dungeons & Dragons Endless Quest. Big Trouble, that's the name of the book.
In little Dungeons and Dragons.
That's what the little R deep forest, probably. That's
Little
what it says on the
Dungeons,
back.
Tiny dragons.
I'd play it.
One of my favorite D&D ideas that I've seen float about on the internet is having a very tiny dragon whose hoard is guarding one single gold coin.
Oh,
And so if that coin is ever given to a player, that dragon is like, I have to come with this coin, so it just stays in your pocket as a tiny dragon.
oh my God. I mean, I'm sold. I'm in.
Give me 4 campaigns written exclusively about it.
I'm done with this.
On my desk by Monday.
I'm done with this book. I'm done with this podcast. I want to play that.
Cool. I'll be back with the Tiny Dragon campaign as soon as possible.
All right, sounds good. I'm waiting.
In the interim, though,
Yeah, okay,
just
fine.
because
Fine.
we're already here and already recording,
I already set up the camera. We are a podcast. We are a podcast. We are a wizard.
We are.
I didn't lie. It's a weird thing to have said at that point, but it is true. We are a podcast.
We are a podcast. We are a wizard. It says on the front cover, you are the wizard. So there's no other
That's
wizards.
true. And we actually do know that in the rest of the books there are in fact no other wizards. So I thought at some point there might be 2, but nope. There's a rogue and a cleric coming up again. Not hitting all the classes, not even close to hitting all the classes, despite the fact that there were 6 books. The amount of doubling up is kind of funny. But anywho,
For what it's worth, the last class, the fighter, could have been any class. Just imagine
That
it was
is
a
true.
sorcerer. It could have
It
been a
was an
sorcerer. Why
artificer.
wasn't it a sorcerer?
everyone's favorite artificer. The
Hell
one that's
yeah.
real. It's a very real class, everybody. Treat it. I mean, not to get my preconceived notions in here. Do you also treat the artificer as lesser?
As lesser? Ooh, no. No, I do not. The artificer to me is a conduit to have a metal dog. And
Sure.
the metal dog is a friend. It's basically a ranger, but like steampunk. That's basically how I treat it.
I'm not talking about it in terms of like theming. I'm talking about it in terms of it feels less official. It feels like less of an official class for some reason to me. Maybe I'm out of my mind here.
It feels in some way kind of like a subclass of other things. Like you can be an artificer if you are, working out of physical materials or out of magical materials or out of, like, it feels like you come under something else first. Like I'm a wizard, and I guess I also make things, so I'm an artificer.
Yeah.
Whereas or I just make things blank. Okay, out of what? It's just implied that it's steampunk.
I know. It feels like when I was a kid taking shop class and I made a birdhouse, I was an artificer. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's not going to be unrelatable to many. Let us move our highly relatable podcast on. Our highly relatable reference film.
Halt! Do not move on! Halt, adventurer!
Oh
halt!
no! Yeah, well, okay.
And of course, read these words before you proceed. This is not a journey for those who prefer to sit back and let others make the tricky decisions. This is a journey for a leader, a true hero, one who's not afraid to charge headlong into a lair of orcs or fight alongside giants. If this doesn't sound like you, turn back now and forget that you ever came this way. But if this whiff of adventure has whet your appetite, then forward with you, my friend, and good luck.
My appetite is whet.
I could charge into a lair of orcs. I could fight alongside giants. Both of those sound like a great time.
Oh my god.
Oh, is that Lariel?
Is this Hatsune Miku?
It could be.
There's an elf.
My favorite author, Hatsune Miku.
There's an elf with very blue hair and blue outfit and spells. Is that supposed to be surely that's not supposed to be the elf on the front.
I don't believe that to be us. I think this looks kind of similar to how they depicted Lariel Silverhand in a previous one, which is why I'm surprised.
Sure.
We'll see. Let's see if the book elects to introduce this character by name sooner rather than later.
The ground of Ardeep Forest trembles, and you are troubled. It has always felt firm and stable before this.
What's happening?
You ask as you push yourself away from your ancient desk fashioned by magic from the living trunk of a tree far older than you, We are already more wizard than the last character was fighter. Like, already.
Very true.
You've been studying the elven scrolls strewn across it all week, deciphering the notes and sigils scrawled upon them by wizards much wiser than you. In this case, your parents and you were on the edge of a breakthrough in your understandings of them. That will have to wait for now. Your younger brother lets out a large belch.
Excuse me.
He flashes you a goofy grin as he rubs his belly, entirely unaware that there might be any problem.
Quiet, Talaran.
Your mother says to him as she cocks her head to one side to listen. She focuses her attention far away for a moment. Then her eyes snap back to you, filled with panic.
We need to leave.
She says.
Now.
You start to gather up your scrolls and put them away, but your mother shakes her head at you.
We don't have time for that.
Your father bursts through the front door of your cozy home, a tower built into the center of a massive hollow tree.
Trouble's coming.
He says to you all.
Big trouble. What kind, Manarin?
Oh, big trouble. The book.
They titled.
They got it. Oh, this really is the Ocean's 11. Your mother asks him as she gathers up her big trouble. What kind? Your mother asks him as she gathers up her spell components, the special little odds and ends she needs to work on her wizardly magic.
Did you see? Does it matter, Ardena? We need to leave, whatever kind it is. But why?
Talaran asks.
Isn't being safe one of the reasons we live here?
He's right, you know, not in quotations. The tower tree you call home blends in so well with the other trees in Ardeep Forest that you sometimes have trouble picking it out yourself. It's why you don't get a black van, you know? There's just too many of them. You know, if you go to a parking lot, everybody has your car, it blends in. Gotta get something a little bit funky. Even if you think the color's ugly, it'll make it easier to find in the parking lot. And honestly, isn't that the most important issue? Anyways, it's how your parents keep people from the nearby metropolis of Waterdeep from constantly knocking on your door.
Such camouflage doesn't mean much to the creatures coming this way.
Your father says as he puts your brother's hand in yours. You can feel your brother trembling. If you weren't frightened before, you're starting to feel that way now. Your father scurries about, stuffing necessary things into his pack.
They knock over everything in their path. Our home will just be another tree to them, something else to flatten. Who are they?
Your brother asks. You're not sure you want to hear the answer.
Giants!
Your father says as he leads you towards the front door.
They're people as tall as a house, taller even than a tree. And they're coming this way, and they are hungry.
Tall as a house, taller than
Oh, our tree! Okay, so this tree might
okay,
be
well, sure.
surprisingly large.
I guess so. But in my head, it's like, as tall as a house. In my head, I'm like, okay, some trees are taller than houses. But anyways,
Yeah,
it's a weird parallel.
That's kind of like someone going, "Oh, is that Superman? Is it a plane? Oh, is it a bird?" It's like, buddy, you ran this down.
Oh my god, he's even bigger than a mouse. He's like so much bigger than a mouse. It's like, okay, well, yeah. My mind's going somewhere else now in size, but he flings open the door and you squeeze your brother's hand, ready to run as fast as you can. But before you take your first step, you see exactly what your father was talking about. A massive person stands before you, blotting out the sun.
Hide.
Your mother says to you.
Take your brother and go.
Run on page 6, face the giants on page 8, or hide on page 16. Are these the same pages?
I don't know where my other book is, but I don't believe so. I believe the original choices were different.
Yeah, I believe there was a 10 in there or something. I don't know. So off to a good start for variety already.
Indeed. Speaking of our variety of choices here, though, we have been told that we need to be brave enough to face the Knights. The Giants, rather.
Mm-hmm. Well, then should we just do it?
I think so. I mean, worst case scenario, they kill us, and then the book's fault. It's like, you told me that I should be brave enough to do this.
Okay. You know your parents want you to hide, to protect your little brother, but where can you go that's safe from such a monster?
Go.
You say to Talaran.
Hide. I want to help.
He insists.
No.
You cast a little charm on him to get him to agree. Normally, you'd never do such a thing to him, but this is life and death.
Quick, in the cellar, go.
You hope he'll be safe in there, although if a giant decides to dig into the earth, you don't suppose there would be any stopping it. You turn back and look for your parents, but they've already run out of your home to face the giant. Your father moves off to the left while your mother charges to the right. You don't know which way you should go, so you stop in the doorway and look for some way that you might be able to help. The giant towers over you, standing 3 times your height and roaring like a storm. It seems as thick around as a tree, and even thicker than around than a mouse. But you don't have those to compare the creature to anymore, as everything in a large swath behind the giant has been knocked flat, like wheat beneath a scythe. Your father shouts magic words as he plucks something out of the pouch that he wears on his belt and hurls it in the direction of the giant. As the substance reaches the creature, it suddenly explodes into a huge ball of fire that scorches your face, even as far away from it as you are. The giant rears back, roaring in pain, as its blanket-length beard bursts into scorching flames. The giant tumbles backwards, knocking over another tree as it goes. The ground beneath you shakes, tossing you from your feet. As you scramble to your knees, you look up to see that the giant your father took down is not alone. There's 2 more.
Go away!
Your mother shouts. To your right, you look over and see her rubbing a crystal rod with a bit of fur.
Leave us alone!
Does the crystal rod have fur, or is she rubbing the rod with fur? Anyways, strange. Strange visual for me.
Both.
She points the rod at one of the other giants, and a bolt of lightning arcs from the tip, disintegrating the rod as it goes. Well, maybe if it wasn't made of fur. The electricity lances through the creature's chest, and it lets loose a screech that makes your ears feel like they're going to bleed. It crumples to its knees, and the impact knocks you flat once more. You drag yourself forward and watch as the 3rd giant attacks your parents, kicking your father aside with a sweep of a leg, sending him sailing into the trees. It slaps your mother down. Hard. Boom. Bingo. Driving her into the loamy dirt of the forest floor. You scream in protest at the giant's attack. This only serves to draw its attention to you. The last thing you see is the bottom of the giant boot hurtling down towards you. The end, you died.
Okay, so we were brave enough to face and die to giants. Cool. I guess that's the good end of this book.
I mean, die a hero. I mean, what's the alternative? Live long enough to see yourself become the villain? I mean, no thank you.
Yeah, fair enough. Cut us off at the pass. No
Yeah.
villainy from us. I mean, if we wanted to survive long enough to do a little bit of villainy, would we run or would we hide?
What would I do? Would I run or would I hide? What would you do? If you were in the position, would you run or hide?
If giants
Yes.
were approaching my direction, I would run. I would 100% run because I would just be scared of, even if they don't necessarily intend to harm me, they could flatten me.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Also, our mother did just say hide, though. Wait, she says hide, take your brother and go. What? What do you want? Which one?
Run to hide. Go, run and hide. And then she covers her eyes and starts counting down from 10. Go, hide.
Let's pop a little bit of a run here. Let's see what these legs
let's
do.
go run and hide. What could go wrong? What are they gonna do? Kill us this soon? Again?
It would be such a good prank to release a book in a Choose Your
Oh
Own
my
Adventure
God.
series that, like, the second decision, all of them kill you, and there's no way out.
And there's still a whole bunch of book left, and you just have to be like,
Yep.
I know it's there, though. What do I do? Anyway, still holding your little brother by the hand, you run for the back door, pushing as fast and hard as you can.
Where are we going?
Talaran shouts, scared and confused as you knock over anything in your way.
Anywhere but here.
You tell him as you drag him through the door into the forest beyond. You emerge into the sun-dappled shadows. I love the word dappled. Okay, sorry. Shadows of the undergrowth in which you've played for your entire life. Normally, you'd find that comforting, but today, the sight brings you no joy at all. I mean, I guess it makes sense. You are barely step out of the tower before you hear
I don't understand the R in there. I think that's a mistake.
I think it's a mistake, but it's also like, it's one of those ones where you're like, oh, or is it just like you are upon and it's where just
Thou
feel-
art a pawn in this game.
That's the fun thing about fantasy is there's so many things where you could be like, is this wrong? Is this a typo? Or is this just kind of like fantasy speech?
A very archaic way to express something
Yeah.
that is legitimate.
But I
Yeah.
do think it is a typo due to the fact that this has not been the way that Matt Forbeck has written.
Mhm.
You are barely step out of the tower before you hear a massive explosion behind you, followed almost immediately by a crack of thunder that nearly leaves you deaf. Talaran freezes, frightened by the horrible noises, but you're not about to let him stop you from fleeing. You tug on his hand, but he acts as if his legs have stopped working. You pick the boy up in your arms, and he clings to you like life's last breath. You know you can't move all that fast with him weighing you down. But it never even occurs to you to leave him behind. If you're going to die, you're going to die together. After all, if you left him behind, your parents would kill you anyways.
If they survive.
We've seen the alt path. They got rocked.
Yes. And that's with us being there to draw aggro.
Yeah. Like, they had an off tank and everything. Passing off for stacks.
Set up for success.
Passing off so we don't get 10 Sunder stacks, because at that point it's instant kill. Anyway, you stagger through the woods, Talaran in your arms as fast as you can. You don't get 100 feet before your home comes down behind you with a massive crash that shatters the smaller trees in its path. Splinters blast past you, flying like tiny arrows, with Talaran's scream of horror piercing your ears and sets them ringing. You want to join in, but you don't have time for the breath. You glance over your shoulder and spy the culprit who just felled your home, an enormous hill giant that stands 3 times your height.
That's even bigger than a house.
It's even bigger than 2 times our height. It towers there in the gap of absence of your home that forms in the forest. Like a missing tooth torn from a mouth, it stares at you from the ruin of your home and shouts after you.
Hey! Come back here!
You know that to listen to the giant is to court death. If you followed its order, it would kill you both for sure. You keep running instead, even though you're aware that the giant can catch up to you very quickly with its massive strides. At the very least, you are determined to not be easy prey. The darkest part of Ardeep Forest calls to you, but maybe you'd be better off leaping into the river instead. Dive into the river on page 12, run deeper into the forest on page 14.
I like both of these. Admittedly, I think this is probably going to be a differentiation in our path.
Yeah. I don't know why it feels like river often leads to death in me.
Mm-hmm.
But to the point, I guess, where there's been some times where we're like, it feels like, river has more opportunity to gotcha, you're dead. Like you got carried away by rapids, you bonked into rock, you drown, you die, you get carried somewhere, you're lost. Like it happens.
Froghemoth holds you in place with its tentacles while it's up in the air.
Absolutely. Like all of that happens really often, but also sometimes it feels like we know that and subconsciously avoid it, and then we find that the river was the right way all along. It feels like that's happened before too. So
if only they gave us some hint about whether or not this river is particularly dangerous, maybe about whether or not it's like voluminous in height. Anyway, Ardeep River. Do we go?
Ardeep. We love Ardeep River. We love Ardeep Forest. This is not our beautiful house.
Run Ardeep into the river or run deeper into the forest. Let's say, I don't know.
Let's go forest.
Let's do it. We're magical. We live in a tree.
Well, the giants may have the advantage on you in terms of size and strength. It doesn't know Ardeep Forest the way you do. The woods have been your backyard for your entire life. If anyone could lose a giant here, it's you. Still carrying Talaran, you weave your way deeper and deeper through the forest, cutting back and forth through the valleys and over the hills. The giant stays on your tail, knocking over every tree you put between you and it. You don't know how long you can keep this up, but your legs grow tired. Your breath draws short. Just as you're about to give up and let the giant crush you, though, a strange voice shouts at you.
Halt!
You skid to a stop and see that you're surrounded by a band of spear-wielding kobolds that don't seem to have realized the danger that you're all in. Confront the kobolds on page 4 or call for help on page 13.
Are either of these options seeming more likely to be like convince the kobolds that you're all in danger and need to run?
I feel like that's maybe a little bit more 4.
Yeah, more confronts than it is call for help. Call for help seems like I'm calling for help to save me from these kobolds. In which case, I'm just giving up the game to the giant where me and the kobolds a tasty snack are.
I know. I do want to be friends with the kobolds, and I don't know what gets me there.
Let's see if that's on 4. Confront the kobolds.
I think I knew that this was... You gape at horror at the kobolds.
You can't be serious!
You tell them.
There's a giant coming after us and he's going to kill us all! Such lies you elves tell.
The leader of the kobolds says as he jabs his spear at you.
You can't fool us. We know thunder when we hear it.
Under other circumstances, you might laugh at them. You stand at least a foot taller than even the largest, scaly, snout-faced creatures. While they outnumber you and Talaran, you could probably scare them off with the little bit of magic you know. This is not funny at all. As it is, you're all doomed. The kobolds have the kobolds have halted any chance you had at outrunning the giant, which was going to be a challenge anyhow, and you very much doubt that the giant will show them any mercy for the favor they've done for it.
You're fools! All of you!
You scream at the top of your lungs. This is not going to help. Alarmed by your outburst, Talaran begins to wail. If the giant wasn't exactly sure where to find you before, he sure knows now. It bursts through the trees and grins down at the kobolds with a wide mouth filled with rotting teeth. The pack of little creatures recoils in terror, delighted at the reaction. The giant lays into them with the long log that it picked up, that it's using as a rough club.
You did this to us!
I don't feel bad. The kobold leader cries as his people are crushed by the giant's blows. He charges straight at you as you try and flee, and he stabs you in the back with his spear. Dude! You give him a grim smile as your life leaves you. You take a small comfort in the fact that at least your killer won't survive. But maybe Talaran still has a chance. The end. What the hell, dude?
Can't trust kobolds, I guess.
But I like,
I know! They seem like cute little dragons.
they're little guy.
There's a little guy.
Okay, on to page 13,
Page
where we call
13.
for help.
Ah, yes, indeed.
Yes, this one. You refuse to give up hope. Although you seem doomed for sure, you throw back your head and shout for help.
Please, someone, anyone, help us!
You don't know whom you expect to answer you. The band of little lizard-faced kobolds certainly are not going to come to your aid. Maybe your mother and your father will hear you. Maybe the gods will answer your plea. Instead, to your delight, one of the trees nearest you bends over and scoops you up and Talaran in its branches. Shocked, the kobolds scurry out of the way.
Leaf and root.
The tree says to you.
What kind of trouble are you two in?
You see then that the tree is a creature known as a treant. He's nearly as tall as a giant, even taller than a house, but likely not as strong.
A giant is chasing us.
You explain, pointing in the direction from which you can hear the monster coming from.
Not for long.
The treant says as he strides away with you. Soon you and Talaran are safe. Rather than face down the giants, the treant takes you and your brother into his grove. When your parents fail to come to find you, the treant and his wife have tree marriage? Anyways.
Meet my betrothed. We're...
I was thinking of the logic for that bit, and I was like, by the time I get to the end of the sentence, it'll be a minute later. Just
Yeah.
cut myself off.
When your parents fail to come and find you, the treant and his wife raise you as their own. The end. I want to get
The
that out
end!
there.
That's a great ending!
Yeah, that's a win. I mean, our parents are dead, but like, I think that they were.
Yeah, but like,
anyways.
they weren't going to be any less dead if we went in different paths, right? Like, they died regardless.
I mean, I will say this is probably the least like far into the book we've made it in 30 minutes ish so far, because that exhausts everything on the run path, doesn't it?
No.
Oh,
Haven't we only gone into the forest? I don't think we've
the river.
Doven into the river, exactly. Our deep river on 12.
Okay. There's no way you can outrun the giant on land. You realize that the water is your only chance. I mean, I guess I kind of set this up, didn't I? Clutching Talaran to your chest, you charge straight towards the quick-flowing Ardeep River, and you dive straight into it.
Hold your breath.
You say to Talaran just before you hit the water. To his credit, your brother does as you tell him. You dive deep into the Ardeep River and stay under the river's surface as long as you can, letting the current sweep you both downstream. The water's so cold. Water is so cold. How cold is it? That you can barely bear to be beneath it much longer. When you surface, you can see the giant standing knee-deep in the river. Knee-deep in the Ardeep? Oh, man.
Damn.
Searching,
It is deep.
searching the murky depths for you. The giant turns and spots you, letting out a thunderous roar that makes the water around you quiver. With Talaran still in your arms, you start kicking for the opposite shore, but there's no chance you're going to make it there in time, not before the giant gets you. Turn to page 15. Talaran screeches in terror again, but this time it's not because of the giant. A humongous bird known as a roc sweeps down and plucks you and your brother out of the river before the giant can reach you. Didn't see that coming. Well, in its talons, you realize that the creature did not want to do this to save you, as it does not set you down until it reaches its nest, which is full of 4 hungry hatchlings. Each of the young birds is bigger than you are, but rather than gulping you down whole, they set to fighting one another over which of them gets to eat you and your brother. While they bicker, the 2 of you slip through the gaps at the bottom of their nest and escape. When you reach the ground, you realize that you have no idea where you are, but at least you're free of the rocs and the giants. The end.
Again, kind of a good ending.
It's a less good ending because we don't get raised by trees, but better ending because we don't
That's true.
we don't feel like we have confirmation of our parents' demise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Okay, now we've exhausted everything.
Yeah, exactly. Now we've exhausted everything except for hiding, in which case we may be able to see our parents' demise. Let's hide.
Yay! Page 16.
Woo!
Going back all the way to the first choice again. Are we failing, or is this book just a little bit less? Well, we got 2 endings that you could classify as good. They just also don't feel satisfying. But they do. I like the tree.
Let's get one of the longer good endings.
Yeah. You do exactly as your parents suggest and hide. Okay, so is this a do what your parents say message?
Mm-hmm.
There's no place inside the main part of the tower tree that's sure to be safe, so you decide to dive into the cellar beneath it instead. It's deep enough that even if the entire place comes down, you might survive. Still holding your little brother by the hand, you haul him towards the cellar door, but he fights you all the way.
No!
He screams.
Mother! Father! It's safer than staying up here.
You try to explain, but he continues to fight you. You don't blame him for wanting to help your parents, as foolish as that... Hey, now. As foolish as that would be. Who would try that? You have the same urge yourself, but the roar of the giants outside sounds like the approach of a hurricane. And while he might be too young to understand, you know that neither of you can stand against them. You hear an explosion outside, followed by a crack of thunder so close that you're astonished that the lightning did not split open the tree. You make the mistake of covering your ears against the noise as you pull open the hatch for the cellar. And that's what allows the Talaran to squirm free from your grasp. The boy spins on his heels and charges back towards the tower's front door.
Mother!
He shouts.
Father! Hold on! I'm coming!
You leap up from the cellar hatch to sprint after him, but that's when the tree starts to come apart all around you. It begins with a loud thump as something hits the outside of it, causing the entire place to shake as if an earthquake has hit it. The tree cracks open near the bottom, and light begins streaming in. You cast about for Talaran, hoping that you can save him, or at least be with him when the end comes. But you can't find him anywhere. You dash towards the front door, hoping to spot him again. And there he is, reaching for the door.
Mother! Father!
He calls again.
No! Talaran!
You shout. He doesn't seem to hear you at all.
Come back!
Suddenly, as the tower tree rumbles around you, Talaran hauls up short and glances back at you. At that moment, you can see in his eyes that he's sorry. He knows what he did was wrong, and he put you both in danger. But he just can't help it. He loves your parents too much to ever leave them. He swallows hard and opens his mouth to say something to you, but the words do not come out. In an instant later, an entire wall of the tower tree disappears behind a giant. Disappears as a giant knocks it down with a blow from an enormous club. There we go. Exposing you and Talaran to its rage. The force of the roar knocks you backwards through the hatch and into the cellar, where you hit your head on the stairs as you go, and blackness takes you. You awaken sometime later and emerge from the ruins of your home, where Talaran is gone, as are your mother and father. You have no idea where they've disappeared to, or if they're even still alive. You've never felt so alone in your entire life. You shade your eyes to look up at the sky, and you spot something that steals your breath away. A gigantic tower hovering in the air above where your tower tree once stood. This one is made of stone rather than wood, but despite that, it defies gravity's pull. A massive ladder leads down from the front of the floating tower, and a cloud giant stands in front of it, looking at you. This one's even bigger than the ones that destroyed your home, almost 5 times your height. Really big focus on height and amount of height in this book. But he seems more restrained. He has gray hair and a long, well-kept beard, and he wears wizard robes. He gazes at you with a wide, relieved smile.
Thank Memnor you're not dead.
He rumbles.
I'm Zephyros, a friend of your parents. I heard about the hill giant invasion, and I came to defend against it.
Zephyros. He surveys the ruins.
It seems I'm too late, but perhaps I can help.
After weighing his options, Zephyros takes you in his flying tower. Okay, now.
I've been looking at this since you turned to this page.
Takes you in his flying tower to visit Cloggy Limitar. Cloggy Leah Matar. Cloggy Leah
Yeah.
Matar. Cloggy Leah Matar. I mean, because fantasy. You know what? This is a typo.
If anything is allowed to have a wild name, it's this object.
Yep. An ancient green dragon that lives nearby in Crypt Garden Forest.
If there were any other choice,
He says.
I hate the hill giants,
The dragon tells you when you arrive.
and the feeling is mutual.
She licks her lips as she says this, though, and you wonder if she might find you tasty. She consults her large collection of crystal balls to see if she can figure out what happened to your parents. As she does, she gasps with delight.
I found them both. Your father, it seems, is traveling north to the Eye of the All-Father, faster than you could believe, while your mother, along with your brother, is being taken to Grudhaug, a hill giant settlement to the south.
I really want to call him Zephyroth. I can't. Zephyros looks down at you, eager to leave.
Which way would you like to go?
My God. Follow your mother's path or your father's? Pick your favorite parent. I will say one note. I do like that the father is going to the Eye of the All-Father.
Mhm.
It feels fun.
I like that too. I won't go there for that reason.
Yeah, that's my whole reasoning. I like that. I mean, if she wanted our help, she should have gone to the All-Mother, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Like-
easy. I need to find my father.
You say as Zephyros escorts you safely from the lair of the Green Dragon and back into his flying tower.
But what is the Eye of the All-Father?
It's a temple dedicated to Anum the All-Father, the leader of the giant gods.
Zephyros explains as he lifts you into his tower.
We giants know it as an oracle that can help us divine the threats that face us in the world. I suspect your father became separated from your mother in the battle with the hill giants. He must have gone there to discover what happened to her.
How do we get there?
You ask hopefully as Zephyros climbs up the tower after you.
It lies hidden in the spine of the world, a mountain chain far to the north. I don't know how to find it myself. Its location is a tightly kept secret, but I know someone who does. His name is Harshnug, a frost giant who fancies himself something of an adventurer.
He doesn't sound easy to find.
You say. Zephyros chuckles at this.
It's far simpler to find him than the Eye of the All-Father. Harshnag doesn't avoid attention. You might say instead that he likes to court it. Once we reach the spine of the world, we should be able to locate him in no time.
You're not sure if you believe Zephyros, but if you want to find your father, you do not have much choice. The tower flies to the north, and days later you begin to scour a snow-capped chain of mountains, hunting for this giant adventurer. He's a giant! He's got to be really hard to find! Is an
there he
interesting
is.
angle. But the thunderous noise of battle between two frost giants. We found two. We found two giants, just like that. that draws you to Harshnag.
There he is.
Zephyros says as he brings the flying tower in closer to the hard-fought clash. Turn to page 22. Wait, hold up. It's like an actual D&D grid map in here. What?
Hell yeah. I wonder if that's pulled from the
adventure.
adventure itself. Yeah.
Yeah, because so far I think they've all been inspired by module.
Mm-hmm.
Could, at least I think, from what I gather. As Zephyros's demon's soul's flying tower comes to a hovering stop over the fight raging in the middle of the snow-capped mountains, the battle between the two frost giants reaches a crescendo. One of them swings his battle axe at the other and knocks his foe backwards to the edge of the cliff. The injured giant hangs there for a moment, windmilling his arms as he struggles to fight for his momentum before he topples into the abyss below. Long live the king. You gasp in horror as the victorious giant throws back his head and bellows in triumph. Zephyros tries to comfort you.
That's Harshnag below us.
He says.
Fortunately, he won.
Zephyros puts you on his shoulder, where you sit perched like a bird as he climbs down the ladder from his flying tower. By the time he sets foot on the mountain, Harshnag stands there ready for him, his gigantic battle axe holstered at his waist.
What do you want, wizard?
The frost giant says with a suspicious glare. Zephyros gestures towards you and explains.
This is the child of Malaran and Ardenna, friends of mine from our deep forest who've gone missing. We believe Malaran seeks the eye of the All-Father so he can find his wife, and this little one would like to find him.
Harshnag tugs at his beard and considers the request. Soon, he comes to a decision and addresses you directly.
I can take you to the eye, but it's a threatening journey to an even more dangerous place. I will be happy to help you on this hazardous quest if that's what you're set on. But if you're not up to such a harrowing undertaking, you can remain with your wizard friend while I go search for your father myself.
Stay with Zephyros or go with Harshnag. We were told this was the man that was going to help us.
Yeah, exactly. But
I didn't
I don't
realize
know.
it'd be hard. Never mind.
he's offering to do it for us. That's the
That
least
is-
hard it could possibly be.
That is kind of true. In real life, so I'm like, no, seriously, I'll go up and I'll fill up your water. I'll fill up your water and I'll get you a new one. Well, I'm gonna say no. Come on.
Absolutely not. You say thank you, waiter.
I say no. Oh yeah, I was like filling up a water bottle or a glass of water at home where someone's like, no, I'll get it for you. It's like, oh no, you don't, no,
No, don't go to all that effort
don't
for me.
go to all that trouble. Okay, you can get. Oh, well,
I am parched.
you were offering, and I don't want to be rude. You were going to the kitchen anyways, right? No, okay. Well, I don't want to do it.
My favorite move is if someone offers me coffee, and this will usually be Peak. If I'm drinking coffee at the time, I will finish it and then hand him the mug. Like, yeah, I would love a coffee.
Yeah. Well, all this aside, do we want to perform that here when the task of just filling up a cup of water or a cup of coffee, is that equivalent to finding our lost father?
This guy seems pretty competent. I honestly, I do kind of want to just let him take care of it and stay with Sephiroth.
I mean, sure. 31.
He's ready for the call of adventure.
Let's see. You see the wisdom in accepting Harshnag's offer to look for your father while you stay with Zephyros, and you decide to remain in the safety of the tower. Zephyros takes his home high into the air over the spine of the world, and you stay there for a week before you realize that Harshnag is not coming back.
Is he dead?
The milk said he'd go and get my father, and he never came back. Wait. It's not. You ask Zephyros, worried that you sent the giant hero to an ill fate.
I've seen him survive much worse.
Zephyros says.
We should continue to look for him. Meanwhile, you are welcome to stay with me for as long as you should like.
Many years pass, and you find no trace of your family or Harshnag. Eventually, you give up on them all for dead. Okay. You become comfortable in Zephyros's tower, though, and continue to be his apprentice. He teaches you more about magic than your parents ever could have, and you vow one day to avenge their deaths. Just not today. The end.
Good ending. We learned more magic.
I will strike down whoever killed my parents, wherever they are. I seek revenge on the concept of getting lost. I will seek revenge on the Grim Reaper himself for the concept of death.
I'm gonna resurrect this Harshnag guy, and I'm gonna kill him again for failing my parents.
All right, so let's actually go and find her.
Yeah, apparently we're supposed to do the Call of Adventure, I guess.
Ew.
40 is this?
For T. Go to page 40 for T.
I appreciate the offer to look for my father for me.
You tell Harshnag.
But this is my quest. It wouldn't make any sort of sense if I abandoned it.
Fair enough, little one.
Harshnag says with a game look in his massive eyes.
Then you and I will find the Eye of the Forefather together. I thought you already knew where it was.
Zephyros says as he sets you down on the mountain next to the burly and eager frost giant. At least the cloud giant is not so eager to be rid of you that he'd hand you over to someone without any sort of a plan.
Of course I do.
Harshnag says with a sheepish yet confident grin.
It's just not that easy to get to, if you know what I mean. That's one of the ways it's kept safe from intruders.
It's all right.
You tell Zephyros in an effort to allay his fears. Well, Harshnag might not seem like the most solid of allies. You have no other choice in the matter at the moment. Not if you want to find your father. As tempting as it might be, you can't just hide in the Cloud Giant's flying tower forever, learning magic, swearing vengeance on death itself. You glance up at Harshnag, who is almost 4 times as tall. Stop it.
Woo!
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Comparing to a house, though.
How many house? How many trees? How many Harshnags is a Zephyros? Please.
I'll trade you 2 for 1.
Oh my god, but this one's mid condition. I got a PSA credit.
Look, if you want a Harshnag, that's the price.
Fine.
3 for 1. You hesitated. It's 3 for 1.
Oh my god. You always do this. This is why we don't hang out on the playground anymore. You're trying to run an empire and I want to have recess.
Yeah, but which one of us has 500 pogs?
You have 500 pogs. Greg.
Exactly, I have 500 pogs. Thank you.
Yeah. You glance up at Harshnag, who's almost 4 times as tall as you. Wow. But still shorter than the... Okay, never, but still shorter than the Cloud Giant Wizard.
Well, he's 5 times taller than you.
He arches an eyebrow in what you're unsure he thinks is a daring manner. Wait, in what you're sure he thinks is a daring manner. You'd like to be more comforted by that than you are, but you decide that it'll have to be good enough.
I think I'm in good hands.
Zephyros grumbles a bit.
I wouldn't leave you with him if I didn't agree, and I'm afraid I have pressing business elsewhere.
He gives Harshnag a hard look.
You take good care of this child, though, or I'll hear about it. Of course,
Harshnag says with an easy smile.
I always look after little ones as if they were my own.
He winces for an instant at some kind of memory.
Actually, better than that. See that you do.
Did we just get traumatic backstory as a throwaway joke?
100%.
I would never let a child of mine die. Well,
Except for mine.
Oops.
Timmy! Timmy! How are you supposed to know that the river was deep?
Why'd you have to take on something 4.5 times taller than you? You know that 4 is your limit. Anyways. Know your limit, fight within it. Anyways. And actually, better than that. See that you do, says Zephyros. You run up and hug his knees, and he gives you a gentle pat on the back.
You take care of yourself,
he says to you.
I expect to be regaled by legends about you in good time.
You can't help but laugh at that, and then he disengages from you and climbs up the ladder into his flying tower. I wish that was me. A moment later, the
Hell
tower
yeah.
begins floating away and soon is lost in the snow-choked sky.
Let's be off.
Harshnag says once Zephyros is gone for sure.
I'd carry you, but I find that sort of extra weight throws me off in battle, and I'm always ready for a fight.
If we didn't just see him kill a guy in a fight, I would believe that this is the part of the story where we'd find that he's not actually like a good fighter at all, you know?
Yeah, exactly. He's done too many things sheepishly. He's been
Yeah.
reprimanded too many times.
Yeah. You're disappointed that you'll have to walk, but you're not so sure that you want to be clinging to the giant when he gets into battle anyhow. He has you take the lead while he guides you from behind.
Giants leave big footprints.
He explains.
Don't want you stumbling in one of them.
Yeah, I mean, Mark 8 against this guy. You lead. I know I'm trying to take us to there, and I'm a giant, and I'm known for fighting. Would you please lead the way?
Mm-hmm.
That's
You might
strike
be
8.
concerned that
dude.
I could step on you at any point, accidentally even. Maybe I'd trip, fall on you, and you would instantly die. Anyway, stand directly ahead of me.
Yeah, giants leave big footprints, don't want you stumbling into them. You hike for days, and eventually you reach the place that the giant claims is where the Eye of the Allfather sits. High in a range of snow-capped mountains, Harshnag leads you into a complicated series of icy tunnels and treacherous passages, until you finally approach the entrance to the temple, at which point he stops and encourages you to enter on your own. What?
They don't always like me too much in there,
He says with a grimace.
and I don't want to overstay my welcome. If you need me, just shout for me, and I'll be there in an instant.
You lead the way. You go in first. You reluctantly agree to this, and you proceed alone down a high, wide causeway that leads into the temple complex. You reach a vaulted dome held up by pillars onto which there have been carved life-size scenes depicting the 6 kinds of giants: hill, frost, cloud, storm, stone, and fire. There's a hallway in the back of the dome that's tall enough for even the largest giant to pass through. Perhaps the size of 1.5 giants, and wider than your and wider than
We've
your
finally
house.
got a width measurement!
And
yeah!
wider.
But how wide is our house?
And wider than your house. We could freaking chart this out. We could do the math and figure out exactly how tall everything is at this point. I swear to God. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God. Tall enough for even the largest giant to pass through and wider than your house. You head down it. You don't get 10 foot along the passageway before a band of barbarians leaps out of the shadows and attacks you. Fight him or call Harshnag for help on 49.
I mean, like...
He said if we get into trouble to call him in, but like...
Exactly.
Already is the thing?
I think we have to call him.
I should call him. 21, 49, let's go to 49. Everything
See
makes
someone
me think of
freaking
him.
out with a battle axe. I should call him.
Everything makes me think of him. Every time you see a corpse, I should call him. Who in your life is like that? Everybody out there, comment down below. Anyways, as soon as the barbarians emerge from the darkness, you scream for help at the top of your lungs. You're embarrassed that you need assistance already, but you don't care. You know that when you're outnumbered and you have come all the way for the Eye of the Allfather, you do not want to die even if you manage to enter the palace. If you die before you even manage to enter the palace. Harshnag comes roaring into the entryway, and most of the barbarians scatter, fleeing for their lives. Their chief, though, a large man, how big, is not even a third of Harshnag's height, shouts
Okay,
out.
so Harshnag is 4 times larger than us. He's not even a third of Harshnag's height. So let's say he is a third of Harshnag's height and it's just like on the slower end of that, right? So
Yeah.
he's slightly larger than us.
Yeah.
We don't know with respect to a house though, because a house is still larger than him, but then 2 times this guy's height is slightly above the original hill giants.
We're gonna
We've got measurements here.
We're gonna find out by the end of this that our house is only like two times taller than us, and it's a tree. Like, we're gonna find by the end of this. Something's feeling a little goofy, but I doubted it. Not even a third of Harshnag's height, and he shouts,
How about thee?
and then charges the giant. Harshnag laughing at the man and backhands him with the with the flat of his battle axe. The barbarian chief goes flying and lands in a heap at the end of the tunnel.
I admire your pluck,
Harshnag says as he steps over the barbarian's unconscious form.
but that only goes so far in quelling my wrath.
As you leave the fallen man behind, the rest of the barbarians scurry out of the darkness to recover their chief. 2 of them throw the man's arms across their shoulders, and they scramble away as fast as they can. Harshnag's laughter haunts them as they go. Turn to page 82. Holy! That's a shortcut. That's the Harshnag skip. It's a frame perfect menu imp.
You have to call him exactly at the right time because the barbarians will kill you if they get to you. But if you call him early enough, he turns up and he's like, there's no one here to fight, and he kills you. So it's only one frame. The developer coded it and then tested it once and then left it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, because at that point now it's in there, it's too integral to too much of the speed run. To remove it at this point would be really harmful. It would invalidate so many of the top scores. It'd not be helpful.
It is
for
frankly
the community
quite frustrating. Yeah, the community really doesn't want that to happen because it happens at hour 3.5.
I know,
of the speed run. So it's such a make or break moment.
It's already
it's a lot of drama.
Yeah, it's already a difficult skip, and the thing is, if that's not in there, then you have a 3-minute unskippable cutscene coming after that, and it's just okay, well, maybe
no one likes those.
Not a speed run. It's we have to. Are you kidding me? It's there's unreal. This is so off. I remember relatable and all, but it's always tough. There's some speed runs where they start with a really long unskippable cutscene. It's oh man, and it's I think Super Mario Sunshine, for example, has such a long unskippable starting thing. And it's just it's so much. It's a very high percentage of the run, and I would hate to run a game that has that. Because you're what? I have to waste 10 minutes at the start of every attempt that I might mess up 10 minutes in?
There's a reason I really like the games that the whole community just agrees, hey, the first 10 minutes of this is exclusively cutscenes. Everyone starts with this save file that starts after that cutscene. We're not going to make you watch the cutscene a billion times.
Yeah. Anyway, relatable. Harshnag claps you.
Damn.
Harshnag claps you on the back and walks with you up a set of stairs that terminates in a 30-foot tall set of double doors covered with images of giants fighting dragons. We can reverse engineer this. We just need one
as soon
thing.
as we know. So it's the largest giant can fit through here.
Yeah. Wow.
Is the largest giant Cloud, or is there a larger giant? We'll have to see.
I don't know. You reach up and touch the glittering surface, and you realize that they're covered in ice. You push on them, but they don't budge.
Step aside, little one,
Harshnag says. You do as you're told, and he charges up and smashes his shoulder into the doors. The ice on them shatters, and they slam inwards before his incredible might. You follow the frost giant into the cavernous chamber beyond, with every surface inside the room rimmed with ice, including 7 gigantic statues. The first of those is a robed giant with his face hidden beneath a deep hooded cowl, standing in the center of the room. The other statues kneel in 2 rows to the central statue's left and right. Again, they feature each type of giant: Hailstone, Frostfire, Cloud, and Storm. Each of the smaller statues face the one in the center, and all, except for the Frost Giant statue, offer their weapons up to the main statue. The main statue gazes at an archway, and arranged around the arch are 6 runes that you don't recognize, each engraved with a silvery metal called mithril. The archway is blocked by a stone wall covered with a thick, swirling mist. This is a boss door. If you go through there, the boss fight starts. Boss music starts.
Dun, dun, dun.
You're not as concerned with the statues or the arch, however, as you are with the other person you see in the room. An elf dressed in tattered robes. It's your papa! You shout in delight and race over to him and to draw you up in a warm embrace.
My child!
He says, tears of relief running down his face.
I thought you were dead!
Try and solve the riddles of the runes on page 69, or ask your father to bring you home 71.
I know what it,
I know
look,
that feeling.
I don't care what you're here for. Let's go home. We have to go for the puzzle. We need a riddle. I want to see if this book actually gives us a riddle to solve in some way.
Yeah, it's on page 69 as well.
It looks like it might.
Yeah. We need, I'm on 69 or 71. We'll go to 69.
Mm-hmm.
We need to reach the
We need
oracle.
to reach the
Wait,
oracle.
that's a voice I stole.
It's all good. We need to reach the oracle.
You tell your father,
That way we can find out what happened to Mother and Talaran. You're absolutely right.
he says.
I haven't been able to figure out how to get through that door.
He points at the archway covered with gigantic runes.
Ah!
Harshnag says,
This is a simple riddle, but you must be a giant to solve it. You just need to take the weapon from the statue of the giant of the type you are, and then touch it to the rune that matches your god.
that's a very video game puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
He points to the statue of the frost giant.
See? That is Theum, god of the frost giants. As a frost giant, I just need to take his weapon and touch it to this rune in the lower right of the arch.
Tyrm's weapon is missing.
You point out. Shows us a bunch of symbols, but maybe not actually going to be a puzzle.
That makes the riddle a bit tougher to solve.
Harshnag says with a rumbling laugh.
But not impossible.
He glances about the place.
It must be around here somewhere. Just sit tight. I'll be right back.
Harshnag heads for an ice-caked door set into the chamber's southern wall, and he shatters the ice with a single blow of his axe. He disappears through the door, and soon after, you hear the sounds of a terrifying battle. He returns soon after with a gigantic axe, bigger than even his own. How much bigger?
Scanning head. No sizes. Dang.
Here you are.
He says. He taps the enormous axe against the Is rune, I-S-E, which begins to glow. The glow suffuses, the mist covering the inside of the archway a moment later, and you can now see your way into a room beyond. At Harshnag's urging, you and your father step through the archway, and you find yourself in a gigantic chamber of the oracle standing in a massive circle of mithril-encrusted runes.
Ask your question and it will be answered.
Harshnag says.
But you may only ask one.
Ask if your mother and brother are still alive on page 60, or ask how you can stop the giants on page 64.
I mean, like, this really feels like getting to the oracle and going, how many questions can I ask you? And they say one, and that was it. It's like, are our mother and brother still alive? Where are they? Excuse me, you use your question.
Yeah, I'm with you. It feels like a trick.
Although, wait, hang on. We also know where they are. Like, it's only
Wait.
our dad that doesn't know. We got told from Sephiroth.
Yeah, wait a minute. So maybe
They're in Camp Grud.
maybe let's ask.
Yeah. Ask if they're still alive?
I guess. I don't know. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Let's do it. On
It
60.
just it feels like both could be a little bit of it. I can see either of them being a bit of a
Mhm.
trick, you know. You step into the center of the circle and with a nod from your father ask the question you need answered the most. You don't want to waste your only chance at this, and you speak each and every word as clearly as you can. Sorry, you're breaking up. Could you? Oh, shoot. Enunciating every syllable.
Are my mother and brother still alive?
You steel yourself for the worst. You worry that you've wasted your one question for the oracle merely to confirm that what you already fear, that your mother and brother haven't in fact been killed in the time it has taken you to find your father. Then you wonder if the oracle's going to even bother responding at all. But a moment later, a rumbling voice that seems to emanate from the walls of the gigantic chamber itself seemed to answer you.
They are alive, but not well. The Hill Giant tribe, working under Chief has captured them both. They are keeping them in a place known as Grudhog.
How long do they have?
You ask, desperate for more answers.
What can we do to help them?
For these questions, though, the only answers are the echoes of your own voice. The oracle remains silent. You scream in frustration at the being, whomever or whatever it might be. But your father puts his hands on your shoulder to calm you down and offer you some comfort. You spin around towards him.
We have to find Grudhaug!
You tell him as tears well up in your eyes.
We have to save them! Your mother is a very capable wizard.
Your father tells you.
If she's with your brother, then he's in good hands.
You wipe your face dry.
We can't leave them there!
I know this place.
Harshnag puts a hand on your father's shoulder, and you both turn to look up at him. He grimaces as he looms above you both.
Grudhaug is a long way from here, south even of the forest from which you hail. By the time you get there, their fate will most likely already be sealed.
That doesn't mean we shouldn't try! Of course not.
Your father says as he escorts you from the oracle's chamber and back through the eye of the Allfather.
We would never abandon your mother and brother, especially not when they're in such dire straits. No matter what might happen, we're going to get there as fast as we can.
But first we have to get out of here.
Harshnag says as you emerge from the complex into the windswept and snowy landscape. Turn to page 89.
I like the team vibe work. Vibe teamwork that's going on. There we go.
I like it. Harshnag draws his battle axe as he stares up into the sky. You follow his line of sight to spy something soaring down from the freezing clouds towards you. At first, you think it might be some kind of eagle or perhaps a giant bat, but it grows larger by the second. Now it's bigger than a mouse. You soon realize that it's a gigantic blue dragon, and it's coming straight at you.
I don't know why this creature is here now,
Harshnag says.
but I cannot permit such an evil beast to foul this sacred ground. You should flee as fast as your feet will carry you. I will stay here to defend the eye of the Allfather and ensure your safe passage.
The dragon screams down towards the giant, lightning arcing out of its mouth to strike Harshnag's readied axe. The frost giant roars in pain as steam leaps from his scorched limbs, but he does not stagger even one step back. Your father takes you by the hand.
We should help him.
He says uncertainly.
But if we do, we might never find your mother and brother.
He stands there paralyzed, unable to decide what to do. It's up to you. Fight the Dragon 95, Run 98, Talk to the Dragon 108.
Oh!
Seduce the Dragon. Seduce the Dragon.
If I could talk with the animals, walk with the animals. We gotta. We absolutely
To
gotta.
try, right? We have to try.
It's all a misunderstanding. Wait!
You shout as you step out from behind your father, hoping to come up with a solution that does not involve you all being killed.
Can't we talk about this?
The dragon knocks Harshnag aside with a swing of her mighty tail, and the great warrior stumbles to his knees, and rather than leaping to his feet and charging back into the fight, the giant freezes there, still on the ground, waiting to see how the creature responds to your question.
Can we?
The dragon says as she spins towards you and eyes you with suspicion.
Personally, I love a good chat, but most times when I indulge in myself in such, I discover that the people I'm talking with only wish me harm.
Your father responds to that with indignation.
We wish you no ill. We just wish to be silence!
The dragon roars, lightning tracing through her teeth and crackling around her jaws.
I was speaking with the young one. Creatures like you and the giant are too old. The world's already sunk its claws into you, filled you with its prejudices, and you cannot be trusted.
Your father
That's a
staggers.
lie.
Yeah. Your father's. Your father staggers back a couple steps, cowed by the dragon's ferocious response. The color draining from his face. Once he regains his composure, he backs away another step and swings his arms wide to gesture you for the talk. Not now, Dad. For you to talk. You nod at him and you take a deep breath before you begin.
We came here to speak to the Oracle.
You tell the dragon.
Hill giants have attacked our home many miles from here, and my mother and brother are missing. We came here to ask about their fate.
The dragon peers down at you as if it's the most ridiculous thing she's ever heard come out of anyone's mouth.
And what exactly did the Oracle tell you?
You swallow. Hard. 3 in one book? You don't see any reason to lie about this.
It said that my mother and brother were captured by the hill giant Chief Gur and taken to a place called Grudhaug. It's many miles from here, farther south than even our home.
The dragon seems to contemplate this for a moment, then she begins to shudder, and you wonder what you could have said that might have been terrifying to a dragon into shivering like that. Then the great beast snorts out loud and lightning cracks from her nostrils, chortling as if the electricity tickles. You realize that the dragon is not scared at all. Certainly not of anything you said. Instead, she bursts out laughing about your family's fates. Turn to 103.
It does now occur to me that the most likely way for us to get there in time would be on a dragon's back.
True?
Don't see what's so funny about my mother and brother being captured by giants!
You say defiantly to the laughing dragon.
It's priceless.
The dragon says.
They get kidnapped by a bunch of massive idiots, and you come all the way up here to figure that out. That's not funny. Oh, of course not.
The dragon says.
I mean, not to you. You had to trek up all the way here through the cold and on your feet, but to me, it's hilarious.
As the dragon laughs, you see your father and Harshnag moving into position to attack again. She has let her guard down at this point, is as vulnerable as she's ever going to be. Still, she's an ancient dragon, as large as Harshnag is, which is how many feet exactly? How many meters? How many? And as powerful as your father might be, do they really stand a prayer against her? Run, page 100. Attack the dragon, page 110.
I think it's time to take a note from John Bon Jovi and his band, Bon Jovi, in it's time to be living on a prayer, baby. We need to join them. We can't just run and let our friends die to this dragon.
Yeah, seems it. Fight dragon.
It's not funny!
You shout at the dragon as you march towards her. The dragon thinks this is even funnier than before.
And now you think you can take on me, the mighty Imrith?
She leans down to laugh at you in the face. You don't know a lot of magic yet, but you have one spell you think might help the situation. You reach into your pouch and produce a little bit of glowing moss that your mother gave you, and you recite the magic words. Then you march straight into the dragon's laughter and smack the moss into the end of her snout. As the dragon's nose erupts into a blazing ball of glowing light, she stops the laughing.
You foolish elf!
She shouts at you in surprise.
That didn't hurt at all!
You scramble backwards as fast as you can.
I wasn't trying to hurt you.
You tell the dragon.
Not directly. I can't see!
The dragon says as she tries to peer past the light at the end of her nose. It's your turn to laugh, or you would if you weren't terrified that the dragon's going to chase you and kill you for your little trick. But fortunately, your father and Harshnag leap forward to attack her before she can work out how to see around the light to get you. Your father offers up a wordless shout. A wordless shout as he charges for the beast, no doubt hoping to draw her away from you. And in return, the dragon knocks your father aside with a blind sweep of a claw, and he goes spinning into a distant snowbank. Harshnag, meanwhile, levels his battle axe at the creature, and brings it down at her exposed neck. The dragon howls in pain and rage, but the frost giant's blow has knocked the fight out of her. Harshnag chops at her again until she falls still. Turn to page 119.
Damn.
Oh my, I just see something that I'm excited about. You race over to where you and your father fell. Wait, to where your father fell to dig him out of the snowbank. He's unconscious, but breathing, just barely. You sigh with relief and hold him to you until the giant I'm dying, dude. Gently nudges you aside. Harshnag picks your father up and clucks his tongue at him.
You should know better than to take on a dragon like that, little one,
he says. The giant looks down at you.
We should bring him to a city where he can recover. How does Neverwinter sound to you?
You repeat the city's name, Neverwinter, and let it roll on your tongue. Going there means giving up on your mother and brother, but in your heart you know that they're already dead.
Huh? Okay. Okay. It sounds much warmer there.
You say with a chuckle. You reach up to take the giant's spare hand.
Thank you so much.
The frost giant actually blushes.
No, I couldn't have defeated the dragon without your help. Good people need to stick together.
He says.
And stick up for one another, no matter their size.
No matter their size. The end.
I'm really glad that I have a book like this to teach me that moral lesson, because recently I saw someone who was just under 4 foot tall. They were about 3'11". I was like, I don't respect you. and I would not fight for you. I would not kill a dragon for this child. It was a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyone over 8 foot, frankly, at
Yeah.
that point, no, you're having a laugh.
You must be this many houses tall for me to respect you.
Between one house's width, and the height of her tree. Okay, it's these.
Pretty much.
Does that count as a good end?
I think it does. It's like the last page of the book.
It is as like positive in tone. It's just the
Yeah.
fact that it has the throwaway
Yeah.
sentence. They're already dead. You know that. Like,
Yeah. Do you want to
usually
try?
it leaves open hope.
Do you want to try and run on page 100 or what?
I wonder, because I wonder if there is any option that actually ends
Here,
up taking us to Camp Grog.
I'll tell you what. Let's read page 100.
Let's do it.
Let's.
So this would be running
Running
after
away
the
from the
initial talking with the dragon.
Yep. You can't see this ending well. As your father and Harshnag creep up behind the dragon, you spin on your heels and flee.
Huh?
The dragon says as her laughter trails off.
Where are you going? We were having so much fun!
It's then that your father hurls a fireball at the monster. It soars towards the beast, blazing like a miniature sun and the entire way, and then it explodes. Goes off right underneath the dragon, scorching her belly and blasting her into the air. The creature howls in pain and surprise, but manages to land on her feet. Despite this, and she spins about. She raises her head once again, surprisingly ready for when Harshnag levels a devastating axe swing at her exposed neck. Meanwhile, your father's already preparing another spell, just in case Harshnag's effort falls short. You stop in your tracks and watch the battle play out, and for a wild moment, hope leaps in your heart, and you start to imagine that you, your father, and Harshnag might just survive the day, and maybe even triumph. Before the giant's blow can strike true, the dragon unleashes a blast of lightning from her mouth. You comfort yourself with the thought that even if it stops the giant, your father should be able to get off another spell against the dragon before she can turn her attention back to you. Before your stunned eyes, though, the lightning actually forks as it leaves the dragon's mouth, one branching off to strike Harshnag's axe, knocking it from his hand. The other lances straight at your father, who falls over, a smoldering wreck. The dragon launches herself at the stunned frost giant, then laying into him tooth and nail. It's not long before the ice dragon finishes him off, leaving him there cooling on the ice-covered ground. The dragon then turns her attention to you, charging at you, catching you in her claws.
You're an entertaining one.
The dragon says to you.
And relatively harmless. Not like those others. What would you say to becoming my pet?
You don't see that you have a choice.
What are my duties?
What? You ask.
Once a day,
The dragon says.
you simply need to make me laugh. Keep that up, and you'll live comfortably in my lair. Otherwise,
You resign yourself to your fate.
something tells me you're a tough audience.
You say with a deep sigh. The end.
Hell yeah, we got a good ending.
Yeah, we got a job.
Hell yeah. I get the legitimately, like, I get to tell a joke every day, and if I don't, like, if Rita,
Yeah?
if I tell the dragon a joke and the dragon doesn't laugh, then I already want to die. So it's fine.
So true. Yeah, I hear you. Wow.
Woo!
What a
I'm
wild
surprised there's. I wonder if the father and the mother brother paths are mutually exclusive. Like you can get one of them, but you can't get the other. Because it felt like at some point after the Oracle, we might be going all the way back down to try and save them. Like, sure, it would probably be a page of travel, but like it seemed like it was going in that direction. But yeah, no, it definitely looks like all of the paths that we've had access to here have just thrown that off.
one. Yeah. I mean, hey, oh well. Grushnag is our.
Yeah, they're probably dead.
Yeah.
They're probably dead anyway. It's
They're
not like
probably
they're being hurt. They're dead.
They're yeah. I mean, Harshnag is our new mother. That's it. Simple. Wow. Wild one. I liked it. It's
Mhm.
silly. I liked it.
I like when this happens in a lot of the pre-written modules and stuff like that. Like, it feels like a lot of the time when people want to use dragons in their own settings, they use them in a monolithic way, whereas I really like that in Dungeons and Dragons, they're just capricious and mean, and
Yeah.
they don't like humans.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. Depends on the bubble they're in, you know? It depends.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we just need to get them out of their social media bubble that they're in, and maybe we can fix them. I can fix her. But
Look, her idea is that she will threaten me with death every available day until I make her laugh, but if I tell enough good jokes, maybe I can also tell some moral jokes and we can fix her.
yeah. Alas. Any other closing thoughts here before we give our thank yous?
None in a special
All right.
come
Then
to mind.
who is our wonderful, lovely supporter for this episode?
I think you'll find that the lovely and wonderful supporter for this episode, the executive producer of this current Turn to Page episode, is Justice Tom. Justice Tom, thank you so much for supporting over on patreon.com/turn2pagecast. At or above the hardcover tier, of course, the executive producers are picked from the hardcover tier, but much thanks to each and every person supporting over there, no matter how you are doing so, or supporting the channel in, of course, any way. That way, that is the one that directly funds the production of the assets and things like that for the podcast, is, of course, again, on patreon.com/turntopagecast. A special thanks again to Justice Tom.
Yeah. Huge thank you, Justice Tom, #1 VIP champion exclusive of the episode. Thank you very much. And a huge thank you, of course, to all supporters on patreon.com/turntopagecast. It genuinely helps us do this. It makes it so it can be real, and we do not have to worry as much about the fact that it is not a money-making thing. So huge thank you for everyone who's helping offset that stuff to make it a little bit closer towards the direction of breaking even. But alas, really enjoyed it. If you want to help the podcast for free, there's another thing you can do, especially right now. If you go over to youtube.com/@turntopagecast, now is a time where we really would appreciate extra subscribers. If we get to the 1,000 subscriber threshold, we will actually be able to monetize the channel. They increase the requirements in order to do it. So that'd be a very helpful thing you can do as well for completely free. Otherwise, likes, comments over there, really good too. And reviews on whatever streaming service you listen to the podcast on. But hey, that's that. It's going to do it here for this week. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Adios.